are live from Riga, the Nostr.Report and Jeff. So this has been a little adventure for us to find a spot to have this interview. I think Jeff is just exhausted of it.
No, this is great. This is why I'm in Nostr. Everything should be way more difficult than it needs to be. That's how we get things done here.
Hey, this is a perfect example of Nostr in real life. Was definitely more difficult than what it needed to be.
Yeah.
So for all of you that are not here and don't understand why this is so difficult, is that we literally walked through Riga finding a spot that has good light, little noise,
no DJs,
no men playing accordions. Yeah, so it wasn't easy. It's the first day of school here.
Also the first day of school here.
So there's a lot of parents and children like walking around, and it's really loud. And yeah, it's been interesting, but it's been a perfect example of how I feel about Nostr. If something doesn't crash on Nostr on like one day, I feel like I broke something.
Something is wrong. Mm-hmm. It's not working.
So you work on a lot of projects. Yeah, I can't even list them all, but yeah, you work on a lot of projects. You're basically helping devs build dev stuff.
I'm building stuff, and then also spending a bunch of time helping both, I guess, just new users try to understand what Nostr is with Nostr.how, and then also doing like dev education stuff with videos to, how to build and how to get started building Nostr clients.
Okay, this is interesting. We had a previous conversation talking about Nostr adoption and why things are so difficult. And you have an interesting take. Do you mind sharing it with us?
So I think the difficulty is actually a feature, not a bug. I think it's really good that at this point you have to have a lot of motivation and actually try hard to get started using Nostr and to use it, in any sort of reasonable way. I think that's okay because one, there's just pieces of the protocol that aren't fixed yet or aren't working properly, like DMs. And you don't want millions of users showing up from somewhere like Twitter thinking that, okay, these are DMs and they're actually private when they're not really private. And so there's plenty of things like that around the protocol where it's just like, well, kind of buyer beware. You're here, because you really want to be here. And you should probably understand at that point, you've put in the work to understand, this is brand new and it's beta and it's going to break. And that's okay.
So we do want, let's say, a more knowledgeable audience to test the beta. Because we want them to give us the right feedback. And by us, I mean you guys, because clearly I am not developing anything. But we want the right feedback.
Right.
However, don't you think people with knowledge also come with bias?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point. I guess to some degree, what you don't want is just devs testing each other's software, right? Because, if you know how to build software, you see certain things in certain ways and it looks different. Or you just kind of understand how the thing is working or how it's not working in a different way. So you do need people that are not all just developers, but at the same time, I think, even if you've got somebody that's motivated, that's not a dev, that comes in, like, they're going to be able to figure it out. It's not like that difficult.
Yeah.
And, I think we've seen with, you
I can
guys
use
and plenty of people. Yeah, like we get great feedback from everybody, and like some of it you kind of go, yeah, we'll get to that eventually, but like not a problem right now, like not really a problem right now. And then other things you're like, oh no, actually we should fix that because that's clearly not how things should work.
Nostr has had like massive growth in a very short amount of time. We're still brand new and beta, like as
alpha.
Yeah, alpha basically. And so even though it's been fast, it's not fast enough. But it doesn't need to, in my point of view, it doesn't need to be faster. It's just happening when it's supposed to happen.
Right.
But how much time do you think it's going to take for something like this to be completely out and in the open? And what do you think actually requires for that to happen?
Well, I mean, it's already out in the open. I think that's like the best part is that there is, anybody with sufficient desire can come and use anything on Nostr. And I guess to answer the actual question, though, is like, I think there's some really fundamental things like DMs, like, making sure that, the way that keys are used in protocol and that sort of thing is safe for a general purpose audience. I mean, I think as well, it's kind of the same, adoption question behind Bitcoin. Like, normal people don't know how to use cryptographic keys. Like, it's not a normal thing we do in day-to-day life. And like that alone is going to take a lot of time. And so I think we need better tools for managing that stuff. We need the protocol to sort of set a little bit better and to fix a couple of things that we know are broken, like DMs. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think it's going to happen in the right, way that it's supposed to happen in the right time.
Talking about keys. Bunkers. Logins.
Nsec Bunkers.
Nsec Bunkers. Pablo, why? Where do you see that going? How do we make it easier? For you, should it to me, it's just complicated. Like UX wise is complicated, UI wise is complicated. But you as a dev, maybe you don't see that, or like, actually, yeah, from your dev perspective, you may not see it from mine, where it's like, this is too hard to use because it's not intuitive. Does that happen to you as well?
Yeah, definitely. And like that was actually the genesis of Nostr.how. Was literally the very first time I found Nostr and tried to like create a key and sign into a client. I was just like, what is going on? And it was a really unintuitive client. I won't name names, but it was one that no one uses really anymore. But it's like, it was so difficult, and I knew what I was doing. And I was just like, okay, this is way too hard. Like, we need to have just a really simple step-by-step guide that's like, go here, click this, do this, enter this, and then take this thing and put it over here safely. But yeah, like, login to different services is really hard. Logging in on mobile, signing stuff is difficult. I think all that stuff has to get a lot better. And I think Nsec Bunkers is a really novel, interesting, great way to do it. It just requires probably too much from users at the moment, especially if they're only like dealing with a single key.
Yeah.
Like Nsec Bunkers are awesome when you have like a bunch of people that you're managing keys for. Yeah.
It's a good way for like companies, but we don't even have companies like that there.
There's barely any.
Yeah. Okay, that's a perfectly reasonable answer. So let's go back to the topic of the things you do, right? So we have Nostr.how, Listr, Ostrich.work.
Yep.
And
a couple other things that I'm working on at the moment, but we won't get there yet.
TBD.
yeah, TBD.
Let's talk about Ostrich.work.
Sure.
There's a lot of like people that really want to work developing and want to work Nostr.
Yeah.
Not everyone's a developer, so the job that everyone not everyone can bring that to the table. What are you focused on with Ostrich.work?
So to me, that was an app I built in about a week. Like, it's very basic. It was mostly a reference app for a NIP for classified ads that I wrote. And so it was interesting because it was kind of co-developing the NIP at the same time as I was writing the app, and getting feedback and kind of going through cycles on that, which is, I think, it's really fun, like to be able to go, okay, this is the actual new object, the event kind we have, and then now we have a use case for it. I really like that, and I think something like that, like you said, lots of people would love to do, even if it's just like part-time or contract work, freelance work, and get paid in sats for it. And so I think the idea of kind of starting with a Nostr Bitcoin-focused site, but really you could put anything on there, and people have put all sorts of random stuff on there. And so, yeah, it's cool.
Okay, now talking about building things and getting feedback at the same time, would you talk to us a little bit about what you were talking about on the workshop stage?
Yes. So on the second day of the conference on Sunday, I'm going to build an app start to finish to allow the audience to ask questions and upvote their other audience members' questions. So I've got about 15-20 minutes to like get the app deployed so that people can start asking questions live. So we'll see if this works. But
I hope you don't.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I hope you don't get the Nostr vibe that nothing works
And
when it's supposed to work and everything breaks. I hope that doesn't happen.
No, it should be pretty easy.
We will be there to report on it.
Yeah. We will be there to record the failure.
or
success.
Success.
Or success.
Yeah. Voting for success.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, this has been a great conversation. As usual, talking to you is always fun. And after all this adventure, I think it's time for us to go and leave my trusty cameraman, Tanel. I hope everyone says thank you to Tanel for holding the camera and helping us get this done. Thank you, guys. See you.